everybody. Welcome to Cardistry Lore and More. I'm Kevin Ho. I'm here with my co-host, Brendan Connor. And
Hello.
today we have two very special guests joining us. We have Kyle Tran and Samuel Pratt. Hello, guys. It's been a while.
Hi.
Round two for you, Sprat.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Brad Christian heard us speaking too many truths and silenced us.
Yeah, we were saying some pretty controversial stuff in that episode, so it's probably for the best that it didn't get released.
Honestly, yeah, it would have caused a rift in the community for sure.
Yeah, for our listeners who are unaware, we tried to do a recording of Sprat and us in December of last year, and it got corrupted, and there were a lot of technical issues. So this is our second chance, and Kyle's joining us today, so the more the merrier.
Yay.
And it has been a good minute since I've seen the both of you, all three of you actually. It was at San Diego back in 2022. But it's been more recent that you three have seen each other because y'all were in Tokyo for Cardistry Con back in October.
Amazing times.
The best.
It was so fun. I also quickly just want to say, to level set before we jump into things too, it's okay, so it feels like we're in a time machine right now. So BCA is basically back with Cardistry Core, revamped. Cardists are yelling at big brands again for exploiting them, which is old school vibes. That was peak, when Fontaine and anyone were kind of at their height of their power, there was a lot of angry people all the time. And we're back to that again with Orbit, which is hilarious. And then
This is fresh. This happened.
this is fresh. And then now we got Sprat and Kyle back together again. This feels like 2018 energy.
Yeah, this is the Showbiz episode.
Big time. So I just want to say, it's I feel like it's, I don't know, it feels good. Cardistry
Good time machine.
Good time machine.
It's looking up for us. Looking up.
It's looking up. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, back to Japan. Yeah, that feels like a while ago already. I'm only speaking for myself, but yeah, Kyle, Sprat, what were your thoughts on the con?
I was just talking to Sprat about this. It felt like such a fever dream because I missed the London con. That con happened maybe. I think it was the week that I started my new job, so I wasn't able to go to that one, and I was super bummed. But I was telling Sprat how it just felt like, I get 2 weeks to see my favorite people in the world, and it's so weird coming home to not seeing them again. So it does feel like a really long time ago for me.
For sure.
Yeah.
How about you, Sprat?
Japan was so good. Probably in my top of all the cons I've been to, number one or number two probably.
Awesome.
It was just so fun.
The cons are significant in your guys' cardistry history because you guys first met in Hong Kong. Is that correct?
That is
Yes.
correct.
Yeah.
Met in person.
Yeah, in person, because you've been Skyping for a while before that, from what I understand.
That's
Yeah,
right.
almost right after the LA con, we just kind of had a lot of mutuals that we would just have group Skype jams with. And it just kind of happened that Sprat and I broke off and just started jamming more one-on-one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hong Kong was the first time in person.
What was it about each other's aura that
It was his eyes.
Yeah, it was the hair. Then Showbiz was the next year, and again, I think I've spoken about the Showbiz moment a couple times throughout the pods, but I knew who you both were, obviously, but I didn't know that you shuffled like that, that crazy. Was that collaboration? Was that conceptualized before that con, or did you do it? Did you just meet up in Portland where let's film something?
We had I think we also talked about this recently, and we don't exactly remember how the idea of the video came to be. But we both, in Hong Kong, we both had just released a bunch of stuff. Carl put out his All for One video, which is sick.
Yeah.
And I had just done the CCC, and then also there was another video, Leaf Cutter, which I'd put out, which was just all my leftover stuff from CCC that didn't make it. So we were both fresh out of material, And then I think after that, and we just kept talking, it kind of naturally came up the idea of like doing another video at the con, but doing it together so we could both work on it. Um, I think that's how it kind of came about.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'll add something to that too, because I told Sprat this, I don't know if this is true, but this is just kind of a feeling that I had memory wise. But it was because we were so fresh out of material. I was thinking like I would not be able to create like a full set of material to release like a full video myself in time for the Portland Con. And so a collaboration in that sense just was more attractive to me, just because I didn't have to bear all of the weight of creating all of the material for this next video.
Interesting.
And then a few years after that, you guys won Video of the Year in San Diego. For that.
Very, very grateful for that. That was very cool.
I'm just curious to know how you pitched the Showbiz video to, I guess it was Dan and Dave who were doing the programming, scheduling? Because it was the first video shown, right? At the con? Or was it?
Yes. Actually, the second.
Second.
There was the Chandler Lim and Kenneth Fu
Right.
collaboration video before that. So
Gotcha.
I guess the second video.
Okay, I'm so sorry, Kenneth and Chandler, but I've like watched that. I just like remember your video being first or something. I think it just had like.
I think we were first in the video block, and the Chandler and Kenneth's video was like as part of one of Kenneth's talks.
Yeah.
Because the video went crazy and like people were losing their minds. I remember, I mean, to bring it back to Orbit again, Orbit was saying like that was the best video of the entire convention, like even above the big brands. And there were some heavy hitter videos.
There were a lot of crazy videos there.
That
Yeah.
con. Maybe like some of the maybe the craziest content a Cardistry Con has ever seen. Maybe because it was what Fontaine,
Futures. That was
Futures. You know, we had Chase going crazy. We had Noel. We had Matt Samuel.
Out of bounds.
We had that magician guy doing like a weird World War One reenactment video. If you remember that one,
I don't remember
Oh,
that. What?
he was like a. It was like he was like either dressed as a spaceman for a bit of it and dressed as like a war hero fighting. I forget his name. He's like this big buff magician.
What?
Guy.
I don't remember.
I do not.
Did I make that up in my head? I swear to God. I swear to God.
With us, Brendan.
No, I'm not. I think he's either associated with some magician. Maybe it's like Chris Ramsey or Orbit or something. He has a beard.
Alex Pandrea?
I don't know what card.
No, not. He's associated with Alex Pandrea. I think it's not Alex Pandrea. I'm sorry. This is a tangent.
Okay.
But I swear to God,
This is the Mandela effect.
people in the comments, please let me know.
If you were there, and if you were
Or if I was just having World War One like PTSD flashbacks during the video blog.
I was going to mention, speaking of All for One, I have a memory. Speaking of All for One, I have a memory of the Hong Kong convention, and I was next to Dimitri while the video was screening, and after All for One premiered, he turned to me and he said, "I wasn't expecting it to be that good." So kind of a backhanded compliment, I guess. But
That was the
take it.
gatekeepy energy back then, though, because there was the top dogs, and then there was the people who bought their cards. Obviously, it wasn't that blunt, but there was that kind of how it felt in the community. And then, then Kyle, you kind of went absolutely crazy in Hong Kong out here, and then you two kind of, I don't know, really changed, in my opinion, like kind of broke in and changed the mold of like non-big branded features having equal, if not bigger, impacts on the community. So, thank you both for like that amazing piece of work.
Thank you for the kind words.
Of course.
No, that was definitely part of the intention of making the video. Was it for it to be non-branded? And I know that it is like sort of branded because we did use the Dan and Dave cards. But just separate from like brand identity, just do it on our own. Producing it independently was a big goal. And so we're very happy with the reception there. And just kind of bringing it back to your first question of like how we pitched it to them. I believe that it was Michael Stern, because he was like a Bay Area guy back in the day. And so we would like or I guess I and the Bay Area crew would jam with him every once in a while. And once we had the idea to collaborate on a video, I think we just asked him. We just set up a DM, just like, hey, like we did stuff for the Hong Kong Cardistry Con. Can we do something for the Portland Con?
Amazing.
That's great.
Stern knows what's up. He's got
Yeah.
he's got good taste. Although I did take him in the combo challenge, and he DM'd me. He's like, "Dude, you think I know how to do a combo?"
He does.
That's what I said.
Charlie a cut into a one-handed waterfall. That's
Boom.
all you do.
Stern,
Got those unlocked.
step up.
I think Stern has such good like cardistry card handling that like nobody talks about. Like he had that video in Portland too, and
Yeah.
his moves are great.
They're great.
Yeah. He's like a cardistry sleeper build.
Totally. Okay, well, Kevin, I've been waiting. I wasn't sure when to bring in Practical Cardistry, but
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
I do want to talk about it. And I think it is relevant to you as well, Kyle, because so Sprat, Mr. Practical Cardistry, I have more
Yes.
thoughts. Even though we talked about this for like 2 hours straight, and no one's ever going to see that conversation, we're bringing it back.
Fine.
And then Kyle, I was watching the Fontaine files before this, and I remember in your tutorial section, you like explicitly mentioned that the moves that you created for that tutorial pack was created with the intention of being practical, being easy to pick up, being easy to perfect quickly. Whereas like a lot of your other material, from inception to camera ready, could be a year plus or something. So, and then Sprat, you had your presentation in Tokyo regarding the benefits and benefits for creativity, general mental health, consistency, everything of practical cardistry. But a bit of time has passed, even since our last conversation, Sprat. I'm wondering, like, what are your current views on this, like, practical versus impractical cardistry? Is it the same? Is it developing? Is it evolved?
Yeah.
Is it nuanced?
I've it's developed a little bit. It's still pretty much the same idea. And for anyone who wasn't in Tokyo or just needs a refresher, the idea that I had was, or like I guess the realization was that I feel like I get a lot more out of cardistry when I'm able to perform it well and show it to people in person. And so I've started making moves that allow for that to happen more often. And when you start doing that, making moves that are easier for yourself, there's like a bunch of other stuff that comes from that I didn't expect, but makes sense in hindsight. So, like with Kyle's moves for the Fontaine bundle, like people want to learn the easy moves because they look fun to do. You make them look natural, and then people can see that and go, "Oh, I want to be able to do that as good as he's doing that." And also, you save a lot of time when you're filming a video, and a lot of mental struggle, because if you can do the move well every time, then you can get a really, really, really good take of it within a pretty short space of time. Kyle and I both very well know the experience of spending like 6-8 hours filming one move. I don't think we had anything that took that long for Showbiz, but there were definitely a lot of multiple hour shots and reshoots.
Okay. How about you, Kyle? Where are you at with practical cardistry?
I am fully on board with practical cardistry. I'm part of the movement. One of the things, like, what's kind of playing off of what Sprat was just talking about, back then, maybe it was also sort of a sense of pride where you're like, I spent 5 hours getting this take. Can you believe, like, how hard I worked for that? And, like, in
Yeah.
retrospect, I'm like, wow, like, I should have just made an easier move. That was just better. But, like, when it comes to the moves in like the Fontaine files and a lot of the moves that I've been creating after that, it is from a perspective of like longevity to avoid burnout in cardistry too. Because I
Hmm.
felt like there were a lot of times where I was designing to be like as heady as possible, just like this mechanic is something that's,
Yep.
crazy and it's so hard. Like I need to practice it so much to do it. But then if somebody asks me to do cardistry, I'm not going to do my own move because it's too hard. And
Totally.
that started to feel bad to me because I was like, now I'm just creating just to quote unquote impress people. And
Hmm.
like when it comes to a general audience, like my extended family, like my aunts and uncles, I'm not going to show them a packet cut that I made that's really hard.
Yeah.
So now that I
Yeah.
have been more on that practical cardistry train, it's just been a lot more fun. I find myself doing cards more. I find myself doing my own moves more. I think it's awesome to show an original move to someone, and for that to get a reaction, having like no previous understanding of cardistry. I think it's really
Totally.
cool.
And there's such aura points too when you just pick up the, or they give you the deck, you do it first take, and then just put it down. And you're like, that's cardistry. You're not not like messing up skirt combo, blah blah blah, and cards are flipping, and you try to do a deck flip and one card falls off, and it's just like,
It's always that one card, man. It's always that one
You know,
card.
Yeah.
Kevin,
never.
your thoughts on practical cardistry as well, because like your moves are actually in some ways like quite practical. I think a lot of your two hand cuts.
Yeah. I can only think of like a few moves of mine that I have discarded because I just couldn't do them practically anymore. But for the most part, a lot of my stuff was designed to be doable because I was on camera so much, so frequently coming up with verts in my early career. Like Kyle and Sprat probably know, it saves a lot of time when you can do your move more consistently, and it's kinder to the camera person, you know, filming you, especially if they have to do these movements with their hands and feet to get the move on tape. So we got like this backdrop, raccoon, like the flirt variants, all that stuff. A lot of it's very quick too. So in practice, it's very easy to drill it through and get a lot of repetitions and experience. So
Totally.
that when it comes to actually performing it, it's just a matter of muscle memory. But Sprat, I want to ask you about practical cardistry. We're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of Nikolai publishing his
Oh yeah.
theory of comfy cardistry.
Yeah.
And I wanted
Manifesto.
to know your thoughts. Yes, definitely manifesto. Sprat, I wanted to know your thoughts on kind of the similarities, differences, and like what distinguishes the philosophies of comfy cardistry versus practical cardistry, and whether or not that had any influence on your own theory.
Yeah. Great question. Um, yeah, I almost feel like comfy cardistry for a while got a bad rap because people kind of equated it to like
Lazy.
cardistry that wasn't interesting to look at,
Oh,
which is unfortunate because like if you look at Nikolai's stuff, it's the opposite of that. Like it's very comfortable, but it's always really
oh, for
good
sure.
looking. And I don't really know how that got lost in translation, but I do think the idea of making moves that like feel good to do is super super important, and that's kind of the same idea I'm getting at, but maybe like approach from like a different angle. But I think the end result is the same. It's like you're making moves so that you can perform them. So if you're going to be doing them a lot and having to practice them and all these things, you should make them in a way where it like feels good to do them and show them to people, and then that'll come through in the performance, and it'll just show up cleaner and all these things. So yeah, Nikolai was definitely ahead of his time with that idea.
I wonder if there's like a key practical cardistry moment for me was when I was learning mantra, which looks a lot doesn't look practical at all, but actually it's like self-working basically.
Yeah,
And when Tobias was like, dude, like it's so easy. You just like open your hand up, it basically does it itself. Then I did. I was like, whoa. I think we need kind of like a master list of moves like that because I think there is a lot of material out there that we just don't realize is actually much simpler than we think because it just looks a little insane.
I reckon that has to do with like the people teaching it and like whether they're able to communicate like those steps as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, like the minor nuances and everything. I think that's also kind of like, at least for myself, gold standard of practical cardistry is practical cardistry that doesn't look practical, but it actually is. Like Barolo
Which
2,
I
for
wanted
example.
to ask you about, Brendan, because like you're the guy who does flicker shot like a few days a week, every week of the year,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like that doesn't seem like a practical move, but you get it down enough so that it seems like it's pretty much in your pocket.
yeah. I think
So
that's more of like a stress toy motion for me. I've just been like, and I do miss it a lot as
okay,
well, off camera. And when I catch it, I do like that cardist nonchalant thing to make it look like I hit it first time. But if you actually
okay.
pan down to the floor, there's like 85 cards on the ground.
You've gone through a whole deck and a half.
Sometimes, like if okay, this is gonna be some character breaking points for myself. But if you ever watch like when I post a story of me doing flicker shot, if you look at the size of the packet in my hand, a lot of the time it's like this big. That's not because I just picked up a small packet. That's because the rest of the deck is on the ground.
Right, lore, real
Yeah, that's lore.
cardistry, floor, and more.
Totally.
Floor
Yeah, floor lore.
In 2 years, Brendan's stories are all going to be with a full deck. He doesn't drop them at all. He's 100% consistent.
Yeah. Anyways, I feel exposed now. Very vulnerable. I do have a question for both of you too, though. It's kind of in the similar vein of practical cardistry, but more towards practice and like practice philosophies. So I was thinking about my own kind of practice evolution throughout, and I think we can actually categorize cardists into like certain practice genres. So there's cardists who are very easily disciplined, can get a move, and then can just like grind it out, and will like prioritize grinding it out till it's some level of performance ready and consistent. Then there's cardists like myself who get the moves to about 85 to 90% of the way there, and then just cannot follow through and like put in that tiny extra bit of work to get it like truly consistent and performance ready. And it's like a huge mental barrier for me, and I think a lot of others too. And then there's other people who will practice when they're bored, just practice other people's moves to perfection. Or there's also people who just like practice their own creations and will never touch someone else's other person's material. Where are you both within the practice kind of Venn diagram? Because you both seem quite consistent. So
I will say you missed the category of people that come up with a new move, practice it to about 20% and then post it.
yeah, those are my people. The concept claimers.
Concept claimers.
That's a really old school cardistry like mentality.
I did it first.
It'll be the dumbest stuff too.
Yeah, they would post their video, unlist it so it's not in public view, and then when you come up with it in like your video, they would like unlist it and be like,
Yeah,
"I
just
did
to
it
say
first."
that you did it first. Yeah.
Totally.
I guess I can start if you're okay with that, Sprat. I would say that I'm probably in the boat where I get moves to like that 85 to 90% practice zone
Yeah.
where I'm like pretty happy with it, but it's still missing like just that little extra bit of sauce. And it usually takes me filming a video to bring that sauce out of the move. I will find performance subtleties when filming a video. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's after filming the video. You're like, oh, okay, I could have done that better. Could have done that differently. But I would say I'm generally in that range. And then when it comes to kind of getting bored with like practicing my own stuff, like I will practice other people's material. Recently, I've been really into like just studying people's hand movements when making moves. Just like, I don't know, Pandora, I still can't do for shit, but super interested in the way that different people move their hands.
Kyle, you have that thing you do sometimes where you like lay a packet on and with your ring finger.
Yeah,
at
you
the end.
you do this thing.
The ring finger lay down.
Or you also do it
And
up here. And you do it down here sometimes.
I just put my finger on the deck somewhere, and then it's
And
done.
Dabi's got his jutsus that he does after his moves.
Yep. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I guess. Okay, well, I'll expound, and then we'll get to you, Sprat, on this. But when it comes to getting performance ready, then for video, because you've both been in a lot of videos, and you've both consistently performed and like got the video to the point it needs to be and done the moves to the level that you want them to be. How do you prepare? How do you like complete that final 15% or 10%?
A lot of practice filming for me, at least.
Yeah.
In preparation for a video, I will sit with like a tripod and try and figure out like what angle I want to film it from, and then just trying to get like a couple decent performances that I would feel happy including in a video, just on camera. Number one, to kind of get some of the camera jitters out, because it is a real thing. It's really hard to perform on camera, especially if you have like another camera person with you. Because like you were
Totally.
saying earlier, Kevin, it's like it's hard to juggle you wanting to get a great take of your move while also respecting the other person's time and energy. So
Yeah.
there's a struggle there. Um, and then I would also say performing moves for people in person is pretty big for me too. I am fortunate enough, or I was fortunate enough to be very close to like the Bay Area crew. So I would show them stuff in person. I think getting that last 10 or so percent kind of comes down to getting rid of those those performance jitters.
For
Just being
sure.
able to like really hit a good
For sure.
take.
Figuring out the camera angles before you hit the actual filming session is actually really smart as well. Because I feel like there's also that insecurity too when like the camera person's also trying to figure out like how your move looks, and then you just kind of get maybe a little self-conscious, like, oh, does this move actually like work on camera? So that's all. Yeah, I think there's more preparation than most people think that you can do to prepare for a performance.
Yeah, and Sprat, you are especially adept at this because you perform sleights in addition to your cardistry. So you got to be
Yes.
like extra mindful of like the angles, especially for that one thing you do in Gosh where you've got the card that changes from like this crazy
Yes.
position.
There are a few things in Gosh that are like super, super angly, and that took a few tries to get the like perfect shot of. Um, yeah, doing stuff in front of the camera and like test filming is always super helpful, and I do a lot of that as well. I'll say also, just to expand on what Kyle said about like finding the little like secrets of a move and kind of teasing those out. It's a really conscious thing that you have to do. Where for me, like if I'm doing a cut and I'm just practicing it casually, I might notice that 90% of the time, if I mess it up, it's always at a specific point, right? It's like this one regrip is always catching me. And so you can either just keep practicing and hope that you like naturally kind of get over that hump. But usually there's some part of the technique that you haven't fully understood, and you need to focus energy on that and kind of relearn it or reteach it to yourself in a way that is going to be consistent. And sometimes that takes you from like 50% up to 90%, and you are just missing the details of like how to do a thing. So I find that really, really helpful, and I spend a lot of time doing that, just looking at every part of the move that I'm messing up or that isn't 100% clean, and saying like, is there something I can change about my handling to make this work every time? Does it work better if I have a smaller packet here? Does it work better if I have my finger like a centimeter down the side of the packet or on the corner instead of the edge? Or do I need to use like a lighter grip, or do I need to use more pressure? Like things like that can really influence that stuff. And then once you understand that, then the drilling of the practice will like be way more constructive.
Very insightful. Do you do the slow practice method? I think is like an Oliver style method.
The Danish
Where
method.
the Danish method, one of multiple Danish methods. But Oliver, I think, really pushes the like performing a move ultra slow but perfectly.
Tobias does too. He mentioned
Tobias does that too. Yeah. Do you two partake?
Sometimes, occasionally.
I would say occasionally too. It kind of depends on the move. Like, there are moves that I have, like, for example, I have like that three packet roll cut. That's a tough one to do slowly.
Yeah.
And that is one where practicing the way you're performing it and the motions that you pair with it, I find more benefit in than doing it slowly. But on the more packet cutty side, I have done like the ultra slow method. So yeah, I'd say it depends on the move.
I think enough time is passing now too with the community where like, so there's like obviously the well documented Danish practice methods, but like the Bay Area cardists too are also super consistent. And I know Aslan probably can talk about this type of thing, or like Lars. I think they're both from the Bay Area. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But they probably have their own complete different philosophies on practice. The LA boys probably have their own philosophies. I know probably like the Mexico community probably has their own styles of practice because they're very free flow and like creating on the spot. It would be interesting to see like if we could, I don't know, somehow triangulate all these different styles of practice and like how it actually affects the communities that use them. So, anyways,
really
I'm getting real heady right now with practice. So, all right, shall we move on, Kevin?
Yeah. Kyle, thank you for your help in the past with the aerodynamics trailer.
Of course.
You were also involved with the Jerry's Nugget Kickstarter trailer.
Yes.
Do you have any different considerations when you're making deck trailers for like cardist target audience versus like a layman targeted audience?
I think for the Jerry's Nugget trailer specifically, we were definitely going for more of that layman appeal. So that was
Yeah.
like a lot of kind of like productions, card springs, faster paced, easily digestible moves. You know, it is funny that you asked that because while that was a consideration while making that video, I wouldn't say that there was like a whole lot of thought between like, is this going to appeal to layman versus cardists? There wasn't like too much in that pre-production side of things. It was
Okay.
more just, let's make like a cool deck trailer video. Because I don't think like I personally had like the experience in the filming of cardistry and like video production of cardistry to kind of make those informed decisions at the time. It was more just, you know, we've done this in the
Did
past.
you
Let's
did
do
you
this.
did
but
you
short.
edit the Jerry's Nugget trailer?
Yes, I did.
Nice. Nice. Half a mil.
Half a milli.
Very, very cool project to be a part of.
I'm curious because both of you, in your own ways, have injected a layer of like creativity into how actual videos are filmed. Kyle, like you, kind of built the modern day collab video aesthetic, I would say, like with your work with Fontaine and all the CardistryCon jam videos you did. Sprat, some of your like your solo, more webcam-y videos with this like unique themes, whether it's like the magic dot moving around or even like
Redshift.
your Fontaine trials. I forget the names of all these
Yeah.
contests. Fontaine trials, round over round variation, and like kind of vibe and theme to each video that you had.
I remember
Do you
the swing and the rubber
the
bands.
swing and like yeah, you went from like the hard pounding like aggressive trap music to like you on a swing with like
Yeah.
light Chance the Rapper style music. Do you both think? How do you feel we like as a community? Like, are we in a good spot film wise, or are we stagnant?
Well,
Like, do we need to change things up? Have things gone too formulaic? And can we change it up? Have we reached the pinnacle of filming two hands and a deck of cards?
no.
I have some thoughts. The first one is like people should be more. One thing that a change that I've noticed that I love is people are more confident showing their face in videos, which is super cool. Because like, I think that's something I realized kind of early on was like seeing a video of just like this angle, like the crotch shot with the hands for like you know, like the whole video,
Goated
you
angle.
get a good look of the moves maybe, but you really know you don't come away with it. You don't come away from the video like knowing anything more about the person behind it, or like knowing who it was you just watched. Like that could have been anyone, uh, you know, behind the cards.
Totally.
So having some stuff to like put more of your personality in the videos is always appreciated, and I love seeing more of that. Yeah, I think there's still a lot more stuff that people can do. I still see really cool videos coming out that feel very different and very fresh. Um, and then I also see videos come out that are like kind of generic cardistry with a black background, like and a spotlight, and like the moves are always good, but it's like there is more you can do. You can have more fun with the theming, and like song choice as well can really help with that.
How about you, Kyle?
Definitely. Yeah, I do think that we've kind of arrived at like a plateau, not by, you know, by us running out of cool things to do on camera, but maybe by choice. Like we've reached a plateau where the general idea of what a cardistry video should be is that black background, hard song.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look as cool as possible. I'm the coolest person in the world type of vibe. And like everyone's conception of like what a cardistry video should be has kind of like settled around that area. Like Sprat said that there are people like making great videos injecting their personality, but I do think that that kind of becomes like the target goal for some people. It's like I just want to make that video. I want to make that
Totally.
video but with my moves.
For
And I
sure.
think that we've kind of reached like a stage. I think we're starting to come out of it, but there
Totally.
was a point where that was just kind of like the end goal for people. It's like I want to make this video.
For sure. For sure. And that was kind of like, you know, like Tobias and Zach, like really did set a high standard of video production. Like they're both incredibly talented and style defining. But I think, yeah, that has like really just lasted like a very long time. And I think there's nothing wrong with it. But again, there's only so many angles you can do, and videos you do start to lose, I don't know, some of the personal flair or excitement coming out of it. That being said, there are people killing it right now.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And I will add one more thing to it, which is I think that we are starting, or I'm hoping that we're starting to come out of the wide angle lens for everything era for cardistry. I think it was the cheat code. It was such a good cheat code.
Yeah, 'cause
cardistry looks amazing. Cardistry looks so good on a wide angle lens, but I think that there is so much potential to work with tighter lenses, zoom lenses,
Yeah.
and you know what made it so impactful back in the day was like, whoa, shit! This lens is like super wide. This shot
Totally.
is awesome,
Yeah.
but it's not the whole video. And I think that I'm starting to get a little bit of fatigue just seeing everything on a wide lens. So I am
Totally.
interested to see what people do, creativity wise, on other lenses.
And I feel like when there's something new, it's so palpable because we are so, again, these are all my opinions as well, but like so formulaic for so many things. So, for example, like Adams and Griff's video that they showed in Tokyo was just injected with so much like emotional intention and everything, and just pure, I don't know, heart and like artistry. It was just so refreshing to see. Jake BTM was Jake Buttum. I don't know his last name. He's been posting some, obviously he's doing solo videos with brands, but some other videos he's been posting just to his gram where it's just like black and white house music playing, but like the sounds of the cards are still audible in the background. So sick. And it's just a static camera. So like it doesn't need to be this grand like stylistic shift, but just people taking risks and trying new things. Like for me, is what I get excited about. Because I don't know, it could be the craziest moves in the world, but if it's the formulaic process, to me, it's just like I don't know, it's almost wasted.
This is something that I've been thinking about for a while, and it kind of goes back to what Kyle was saying earlier. But, and this may sound crazy, but I had a realization recently that the feeling you get after watching a video has nothing to do with the moves in the video or the cardistry in the video. which sounds kind of counterintuitive because even if that's what the video is about, but say take like Mix08 by Tobias, right? When you think of that video, you think of the lighting, you think of the clean like sunlight, the bright shots, you think of it being like outside and you can hear the cards. That was, I think, the first video that really started the kind of train of like having the sound of the cards in the video.
Maybe
And
Tiger Woods before that.
oh
Yeah.
yes, Tiger Woods is
Yeah.
not true. Tiger Woods is another good example of this. Like you look at those videos, you don't necessarily remember every single move in the video. You just remember it's Tobias, so you know it's good cardistry. It's super clean. You can maybe remember one or two like highlight moves, but you could replace every other move in that video with a different Tobias move, and the video would be essentially the same. Like if it was still performed at the same really high quality, the moves are as good as they are. So like all the other stuff in a video, like the music and the setting and the lighting and the filming style, like really adds more than you think.
Totally.
And what moves you do is kind of less important than the overall vibe.
It's a great point. Because you think about Mix08 too, and if you were just playing the audio track for most cardists, and there's that scene where like the music fades out for a second, and then it fades back in when he's doing Hothead 2, I think most cardists would probably be able to be like, oh, that's the Hothead 2 moment, because like it fades out for a second, and it comes back. There's another fun thing too. I was trying to like remix that song for a stupid project I'm doing, where like I'm overlaying Brian Tudor audio over beats. More to come. But I pulled that track, and I was really like the BPM of the song is like really unique. It was like 80 or something. So that was also, I think, a reason the pacing of the video is like so addicting almost. There's like this like I don't know, progression that's not too fast, not too slow. Again, I don't know if these were all intentional choices by Tobias, but it's just like the perfect amalgamation of non-card move stuff that makes it so impactful. So it's a great take. Sprat.
I have a question for everyone here, actually, related to that note. Kind of similar to what Sprat was just talking about. We know that the section of the song is the Hothead 2 section, right?
Yeah.
You know, like he's pulling the packet out. Looks awesome. He has crafted the video around this moment with that song. What does it look like if a different move is there? Do you have the same impact of Hothead 2 if it is in a different section of the song versus placed in this moment intentionally, saying this is what you're supposed to react to right now?
Yeah.
I mean, as from a general filmmaking standpoint, like every move that you choose to include or sequence before or after another move impacts the next one and your impression of the previous one that happens. So, like,
I don't know.
it has to be intentional. If not, it's accidental.
For sure. It almost feels like music chart manipulation. Like production studios are like pumping that song up the charts. Because I'm trying to think of other examples of that
it's like
too.
an album. I guess the mix.
Yeah, it's like an album. Yeah, it's like a single.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's a mixtape. Yeah, just the same way that you would like cue like a Spotify playlist, and you want to have like a certain song in a certain place and have a certain vibe. I mean, there are those. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of those like TikTok mashup trolls who like play a song, and then you have like the build up and the hype, and then the drop is just something totally abysmal, and you got that feeling.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Because you did that too, Kyle, in Showbiz with your own move.
Yeah,
You did a little Hothead 2 thing. Music fades out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, music fades out, and then you come in and you somehow do a ambitious riser and turn that move into 8 packets somehow or something. Crazy. So memorable.
I've just been super interested in that recently. Just like, are the memorable parts of videos, like, are you really like thinking about the move in that sense? Or are you just like remembering the environment and like aesthetics that are curated around the moment in the video? I don't know if that makes sense or if I'm just talking out my ass.
It absolutely does.
I have an anecdote having to do with sequencing, which is that when Stolen Moments was screened in Berlin, Daniel and Zui missed the last move of the video because they were so busy discussing the move that happened before it. I think they were discussing the mechanics of the card stop. You know, the spinning card
Yes.
Oh
in the back
yeah.
of the hand
Yes.
that like stops in a Jedi fashion. So that when they were like turning to each other and being like, "Oh, how did he?" They missed FedEx at the end.
Tragic.
Very
I
tragic.
know. So like these are things that as a video creator you have to be considerate of sometimes, even though maybe it's beyond your scope. You'll have to like screen it or something.
Totally. FedEx though in that movie, like it's an incredible move, but the way it's a very quick edit of it, and it's almost
Yeah.
in the offbeat. So
Yeah.
it's actually not, in my opinion, like the most memorable moment of the video, just because of how it's shot. It's a crazy move, insane move. But it's just like
Mine was
in the
better
offbeat.
your recap, Kyle.
That
Yeah,
was a lot of fun filming. I do remember just, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours with Aviv, just drilling that move. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
trying to think of other music. This is like a really interesting thought experiment. Oh yeah, like in Cardistry Touches Welcome when Dimitri busts out the bird move and like the music kind of swells
Hoop.
at that point too. Hoop.
Yeah.
What
That
else?
video has
There's so
quite a
many
few
good
of those moments, I think.
Same
Definitely.
thing with the riffle tornado when he does riffle
Yeah.
again, and then
Yep.
it starts spinning.
Yep.
Even the box intro when they pull up and they show the box and they do the swivel opener for the first time.
Yep.
That
Yep.
was a big moment, and there was a lot of behind the scenes to make that as impactful as it did. I think I mentioned this in a previous episode, but the organizers accidentally included all of the the Cardistry Touch origin decks inside of the goodie bags, and they didn't want that moment to be spoiled in the video. So before everyone came in, we had to like go through the bags and take all of the decks out, give them out later after the video screened.
Crazy times. Crazy
I-
times.
The format that I think most people use nowadays, and it obviously depends on what the song is, but it's usually there is like a drop somewhere around the middle of the song, and that's where you put either the best or the second best move, and then you save the other best move for the last move. So you have your like moment in the middle, and then you have the mic drop at the end.
Totally.
And sometimes there's like a post-credit move.
Post-credit moves goes crazy.
Post credit move. Oliver does that sometimes with the re-trigger variations. He started doing those.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I'm trying to think of moments. Okay, Tobias, what's that video he did in Brooklyn? Kevin.
Pacemaker.
Pacemaker. He kind of went against the grain there because, like, in when the music slows down, he's doing like Friffle or something.
Riffle.
Yeah.
And it melts.
It's like
It melts off the screen.
ahead
Yeah,
of the time.
I think the hardest move in that video was probably when he debuted the flip phone for the first time.
Move of the year.
Yep. First move of the year.
All right, fellas. I have a little. I guess it's a game. So in Tokyo, Kyle, I think I asked you about like new material you're working on because you've kind of been, in the lab for a while, and then other cardists who you showed stuff to were trying to explain your new moves to me in words, and I was like, this makes. They're like, he took a fan and he slams into his bicep and like rolls down his arm into like a Sybil variation. I was like, what are you talking about? But it got me thinking how it's so okay. First of all, I think it's so funny how cardists we can basically speak a whole entirely unique language to each other in just cardistry terms. But we actually have such a hard time just explaining what cardistry is to like a lay person. Like that's the most basic fundamental levels. We can't do that. But the little game I want to play is like, if you're comfortable with this, if you can both just describe in words like something you're really excited about that you're working on that's unreleased in words without using your hands, just like try to paint a picture for our cardist brains to get excited, both you and Spratt. If you were comfortable talking about an unreleased move.
Maybe it's not even true.
Interesting.
It's just something they're pulling out of their asses.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, okay, so I'm on in a handstand.
I mean,
Make
I
a
have
fan and slam it into my bicep.
had the cards go everywhere. I don't have a lot of saved material at the moment that's like explainable. I have like a couple one-handed cuts and like a packet cut, and then a
It'll work.
list of like impossible Pharaoh moves that will never exist because they're all way too hard.
Try to explain a Pharaoh move.
Okay, so one idea that I've been trying to figure out a method for, and if anyone comes up with a method for this, you're welcome to try and figure this out, and then let me know if you find something. You have full credit for it. The Destiny drop thing that I posted a few weeks ago, where you hold a card at arm's length away from you and you drop it, and it flutters in like an arc towards you, and then you catch it, like at the hip. I wanted to do a continuous version of that, where you release a stream of cards and they all flutter down diagonally.
Water wheel.
Yeah,
Destiny?
like a
Crazy.
Destiny waterfall or something.
Running Destiny.
Yeah.
Sick.
So I have a few ideas. I've been chatting with like Andrew and Matt Fox and like a few other people, and we had some ideas for it, but it's like it feels
Destiny.
like fairly possible, but just need to figure out the best method for that. We were playing
Crazy.
around with like an ATM thing where you shoot the card off the deck one at a time, and then that arcs down, and that works. But ideally, I'd want it to be like a constant stream where you're not having to like action every card. Yeah.
Crazy. All right, that's insane.
But I want to be clear. This move does not exist yet. Like,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
can't do it. It's just like I've played with that concept for like a month or so, and I'm like maybe getting somewhere, but not sure yet.
Okay, that was great. Thank you for that,
That's a great description.
Kyle.
Such a
Can
clear
you
image in my mind.
at least before you jump into yours, Kyle? Can you tell me if there's a fan move that you roll down your arm in some way, or am I crazy?
What's so funny is when you started saying that, I was like, you're just making something up and it's hilarious. I don't have anything like that, but I was showing people something like that in Tokyo, but it's like not a move that I'm working on. It's just like, hey, look what I can do. And then I just like roll it down and I don't know.
Because
It's
some of
not
the
a move.
That's so funny. I think some of the so Kevin, in Tokyo there was this bar near where a lot of our shared like Airbnbs were, and the bartender there was very cool with us being in there like shuffling cards. He was like really excited about cardistry, so that kind of became the de facto hangout spot. But there was a lot of like younger cardists there, I think, maybe having their like first drinks or something for the first time, and we're like really amped on just the cardistry energy, and they'd come up to me and be like, bro, like Kyle just like did this thing with a fan and like it rolled down his arm and like it was the craziest move I've ever seen. Like, oh my god, I was like I'm going home. So that's where that came from. But
Okay. That is funny.
yes.
I guess for like saved moves, I don't know.
Use your words.
I have a spring cut. I have a cut that springs. That's the best way I can describe it.
Two hands.
It's a two-hand packet cut. There's a spring in it.
Okay.
Like Patrick's?
No, it's covers more distance.
Okay.
So big spring.
Small to medium-sized spring. That's the best way to describe it. I don't know.
What?
It's a spring with a
I
good personality.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Does a spring okay, I don't want to spoil the cut, but is the spring in the middle, the beginning, or the end? Is it throughout?
Spring is in the middle.
It's a cut with a spring in it, Brendan. What more do you need to
It's a
hear?
cut with a spring in it. There's
I
an
don't
opener,
know.
there's a spring, there's a closer.
I'm smooth brain OG guy.
Kyle and I have been talking about this idea of making cardistry that you can describe in a single sentence. which I
Yes,
think is a really fun
exactly.
thing. And like as a goal to aim for, if you can describe the move in a single sentence, then it's probably pretty good.
Yeah, adding on to that, I would love to drop a move description list instead of a move list. I don't want people to read, I don't know, spin cycle 700 and then be like, what move was that? I want people to be like, yeah, did you see the spring cut in that video? And then people can talk about it afterwards. There is a clear way to reference it rather than like trying to remember like what was I don't know what was that move called. I
Totally.
am really interested in the idea of dropping a move description list before the video to give people an idea of what could this move look like. So you're like, okay,
This
so seven, like I don't know, foot catch to backflip is right after spring cut. Like, what is that going to look like? I don't
It's
know.
so hype. I love that.
this harkens back to 20 years ago when we had DVDs doing the exact same thing. They would hype up the moves and
Yeah,
have descriptions of them in the back, but most of them were over exaggerated.
big
Yeah,
A
time.
flurry of packets dances through the hands, and then it's just like
Yeah.
yeah,
molecule one.
Oh yeah, Keon, big Keon.
Keone.
Yeah, DeVoe was the most. But the thing with DeVoe's descriptions, because there would be whisperings on the forums of his moves, but sometimes they did live up to the hype. So you didn't
yes,
always know. Sometimes they didn't. Like the piano routine absolutely did not live up to the hype. But like the
Oh man, that's wept.
motions concept and like cradle to grave. Like if you describe cradle to grave routine to someone, it is what it is, and like he's doing it. It's a box and it's moving and then it's back in the box. It's crazy.
Yes,
I was going through some old saved like photos and video on my phone the other day, and I found a clip of Charlie Fry performing Cradle to Grave live at a
oh,
magic lecture, and me just having my
oh,
mind blown because I was like, "There's no way that like magicians know this like weird obscure thing." But no, he did the full
Charlie
thing.
Fry's goated. He was doing the
He's really
finger
good.
roll downs with cards back in the day.
yeah. I've been lucky enough to jam with Charlie Fry a few times, and he always asks to learn stuff from me. So I always try and feed him as much
So cute.
artistry
That's
as I
cool.
can. Yeah, I taught him the riffle fan years ago, and he still does it.
Oh, that's awesome.
so cool.
So Kyle, you're gonna write some like fanfic cardistry description
No,
erotic
like
move list for us. So if we can just like imagine imagine the cardistry.
I think there's a separate place. Maybe descriptions is the wrong word because I think that there is like a time and place for like a flurry of packets. Blah 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 blah. Does this like I want to tell you like I have a one-handed arm roll cut and like that like you know what that's gonna be.
Totally.
Like a cardistry blurb in a way.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. I don't know how to differentiate the two, but I would like to do it as briefly as possible. This is what the move is,
I got
and then you can just refer to it.
free game for any brand that wants to use this as a contest idea. They'd write the descriptions of the moves, and then it's the person's interpretation of the words done in a move, and then whatever one is best wins whatever
It's
prize.
brilliant.
That'd be
That's
really
cool.
fun, I think.
That's so cool.
Free game.
Who's doing it?
So it's a thumb fan. You slam it into your
Bicep.
fan of your bicep. Go.
And it's impromptu.
And it's promptu and new deck order at the end.
Yes.
As it maintains mnemonico. Full stack.
Yes.
Yes.
I gotta skip back a little bit and ask you guys what your origin stories are. Like, how did you guys get started in all this? Sprat, like, what was your
Yeah.
foray into cards?
So I started with cardistry technically. I first got interested after watching Dynamo, one of his TV specials back in 2014-ish, 2013, 2014, somewhere around there, and went on YouTube to learn the Dynamo Shuffle, or as we know it, Sybil, and I learnt it from the 52 Cards with a K channel, and I could not do it at all. But then through trying to learn that, I then found one-handed cuts and some sleights and some tricks, and then just went into the like YouTube rabbit hole of like free card tricks and card magic.
And roughly when was this? Like which year?
I want to say 2014, maybe late 2013, but I'm pretty sure 2014. So about 11 years ago.
When to get started. And you, Kyle?
Yeah, actually, I also technically started with cardistry because I wanted to learn how to do the one-handed cut, just like a Charlier. But then that later segued into me just doing invisible deck, basic magic tricks, that stuff. And then I quit. I just like stopped. I just like had no interest in it because I was like, well, invisible deck is amazing. I don't have to learn anything else. And then I just stopped and I like lost interest, didn't pick up cards for a while. But then I believe it was early 2015. I actually went to the same high school as Vin Sentry. Vin,
Yeah.
Crazy.
yeah, I went to the same high school as him. We met through mutuals, and I just saw this dude like busting out all of the moves that I saw on YouTube. I was like, dude, you're being followed by like Tobias and Patrick. That's amazing.
Crazy.
And so this dude is like light years ahead of us. And I think that reignited like my desire to learn more cards. And so me, Vin, there was Ethan Tran, who we are not related, but he also did cards. My friend Lucas as well. We all just like kind of had like a cardistry club in high school, and we just kind of all practiced together.
Sick.
Nice.
That's lore.
Yeah.
Shout out,
Crazy.
Ben.
Shout out.
Kyle was saying
Yeah.
how weird it was to have like him, Lucas, Vin, who are like high school friends of his, or like even earlier, all together in Japan, like with all the other like cardistry people.
Totally.
It's like a real like
Yeah.
worlds collide moment.
So sick. That's so cool. I love that.
What an arc.
Yes.
Do you two consider yourself like veterans in the community now? Because to me, you're both very young and new, but is there like almost a brand new generation coming in now?
Yeah,
I think we're in like
It's-
the in-between generation.
In between,
yeah. It's a weird place to be because, I mean, I in terms of like time spent doing cardistry, I've been doing cardistry now for about as long as Tobias had when he released Mix 08. So if you were looking up to Tobias when he released Mix 08, like in theory, that's where I should be. And maybe
that's a crazy
how-
perspective to have.
Yeah, right? Like it's super weird. So in some ways, like yes, I know there are a lot of people that look up to like me and Kyle and a lot of our like friend group as like people at the top of the food chain, so to speak. Which is really weird. But yeah, there'll always still be, you know, levels above that.
Totally. Crazy.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm losing track of the generations the more time goes on. I think it's a good thing. I think we're more like of a holistic community that way, but yeah, even seeing like Nathan go crazy in Tokyo, I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what? You're like,
super inspiring stuff.
yeah. So, yeah, it's super inspiring. Again, it's like kind of scary how good people are off the rip. But, you know, that's injecting, I think, a lot of excitement into the community again. I think
Yes.
it feels good right now. I speak for myself, as always. But I saw a video of Gowlock. He just posted a story, and it was him just like smiling, doing a cut. He's like, cardistry is alive and well. And I was like, hell yeah. Hell yeah,
We're
man.
so back.
We're so back.
Yeah.
What do you think about Cardistry Core and like what they're doing? Do you think it was necessary? Do you think there was like a hole in the community where BCA, when they left, or when BCA left?
To me, I think Cardistry Core isn't a replacement for BCA. Like, it's a different thing. Like, I understand that people see
Yes.
that as a similar structure or like kind of fulfilling a similar role, but I don't think that's really what they're going for. Um, I like that they're posting some like old school stuff as well. Like that's been really fun. Like seeing
Totally.
clips from like what did they post? They posted some stuff from Opera and some like old like Dan and Dave
Yang
stuff.
Chen.
Yang Shan, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah. Excited to see
Yeah.
what they do with that.
for sure. For sure.
Definitely agree with that, that it is not a replacement for BCA. But I still think that there is like kind of a void where BCA has kind of dropped off there. And I don't know exactly like what to fill that with aside from bringing back BCA, but I know that that is a large undertaking and that's
For
not,
sure.
it's much easier said than done.
Totally. And we trust your process, Pat, and we love you.
Yes.
But you are right. That is a good perspective because Cardistry Core, it is very community driven. It feels like I do like how they're collab posting everything too, so it doesn't feel as. Not saying that BCA was kind of one sided with like impressions and things, but this feels like very much like putting someone in the spotlight on their own page and kind of pushing them out there as well. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, it's good because I think that's a more recent Instagram feature, like in the past few years, to have like collaborative posts, right?
Definitely, yeah,
Because
yeah.
that wasn't around when BCA started. Speaking of which, have you guys seen one of the recent Instagram changes with the grids?
Oh yeah, I heard
Oh,
about
with it
this.
being 4x5.
Yeah, they're 4x5 now, not 1-1.
Wait, what?
Tragic.
It's very
So if you
bizarre.
go to a person's grid, Brendan, on their profile, the ratios, the aspect ratio is no longer 1-to-1. It's 4-5, like a TikTok reel.
Oh, they realified it.
Yeah, they did realify it.
Ew. Did that happen like today?
Recently.
In the wake of TikTok going away, probably.
Yeah, probably due to the
Yeah.
pandemic. Yeah, people are jumping on Xiaohongshu. So, guys, Brendan and I were talking recently, and we figured that if we were to do the old top three thing that we've been doing in our previous guest episodes with both of you, it would take freaking forever. So, we're just gonna do like snap judgment, the first thing that comes to mind for like when you say what your top blank is. So, basically we're asking you what your favorite is, but if you don't have that much of a commitment to just one thing, if it's too hard, just name the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, word association. Quick.
Yeah, so we have 5 categories, and I guess I'll ask you both at the same time, and then maybe Sprat can go first, and then Kyle go afterwards, and we'll do that for each of the 5 categories. So first off, what is your favorite solo video, Sprat?
Solo specifically. Damn, that's really tough actually, now that I think about it. Because it's funny we say this because
Yeah.
Kyle and I, like, we're talking like half an hour before we started the podcast, and we're like, okay, we need to get our top threes like in order before we do this, so we're not rambling. And now you've completely thrown a wrench in our
You
plan.
have thrown us off, dude, because we had such a solid answer. We just, yeah.
We could
But
do
it's
top.
not
We
happening.
could if you
No,
if you
no,
have
no, this
answers
is-
prepared. We could do top 3 too.
This is no, this is good.
Challenge us. Let's keep
This
this.
is good. Okay, I'm gonna throw you a wild one for the solo video. I'm gonna say the Aurum deck trailer by Predator.
Predator? Oh,
Little out of left field, but yeah.
Banger.
that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Okay, a man of taste. Holy moly!
And Kyle, you? Solo?
I think it actually might be Stolen Moments. I find myself revisiting that video like so frequently.
Totally.
I just love that video.
Great
I
answer.
think any video where you have a person just kind of squatting and you have that view, like a squat.
Is that the
moment in
secret?
video.
Like
Yeah,
the
'cause
like the
Turbo-
camera adjustment move at the beginning, but he's squatting down.
Noel was squatting in turbo as well, and that was a fire video. Something
Yeah.
about the squat.
Top 5. We need to do a top 5 cardistry squats all time. That's next episode.
That's the new category, the top 3 you'll add.
I squatted in airtime.
True.
Yes.
And it was a great video.
Yes.
Thank you.
Correlation.
Correlate. Yeah. Causation.
Coincidence? I think not.
Yes. The squat gambit. It's crazy. Okay. Great answer.
Next up, Sprat. Logically, we got to ask you what your favorite collaborative cardistry video is.
Oh, this one's not even a question. It's XCM. There's
Yeah.
like, it has to be. There's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, XCM for me as
No
well.
contest.
That was one we agreed on.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
No explanation necessary.
Yep.
But if you have comments on it, feel free to expound.
That was the first time that I cried watching a video. Like I just was in tears at the end of that video, just completely moved by the energy in the room and what I just saw. It's
Yeah.
unreal.
Yeah, wasn't just you. The Bucks were.
Yeah. Many tears were shed that night.
Very powerful.
All right. Favorite move.
Favorite move. This one is really hard. In terms of like packet cut, I would probably say Bahamas by Nikolai,
Oh.
which is
That's
another
the one
kind of
where
weird
the
one.
the
But
packet like lifts up like that, kind of. in
yeah,
the palm.
it's
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah. Very satisfying. Practical.
I would say so.
Check.
Yeah. Practical check.
Practical? Comfy?
Definitely comfy.
Yeah. Kyle?
I would say Blackhawk actually might be my favorite move. I think just in terms of like practicality and then also just impressiveness, that checks like everything for me. And I just think it's
And
such
it's
like
got it's got a crazy mechanic. Like just
Yeah.
the way that it works.
yeah.
Fuck.
I think it's amazing.
Great answer.
Yeah, you're on the same camp as Franco with that. That's one of his mentions.
I know Andrew really goes hard for Blackhawk as well. There's Black
You gotta really
acolytes.
enunciate when you say that. Black Hawk.
Blackhawk.
Black Hawk Tua. Sprat, got your favorite deck?
Favorite deck probably Circle Back Tallies. It's a
Yes.
boring answer, but like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Same.
Is it
Blue
the same
circle
for you,
back
Kyle?
tallies.
Oh, you're using
can't
it right now?
you can't beat perfection.
You
Can't
can't.
be friction. Where's mine? I got mine right here.
I don't have any. I got bikes.
I got bikes as well, but not that.
And lastly, who is your favorite cardist? Sprat.
You better say Kyle. And vice versa.
I mean, yeah. I mean, this one's hard because it's basically the question is like, which one of your friends do you like the most? And that's like a really hard
Yeah,
question.
damn.
So I'll say like,
Which one of your kids is your favorite?
yeah, exactly. That's what it feels like. I will say in terms of like people that I'm always like excited to see new stuff from, I would say Lars maybe is really high on my list of like. I want to know what he's cooking, and he's always got good stuff. So yeah,
Definitely. Great answer.
big inspo.
Probably say Noel for me. I think just the intersection of the stuff he creates, but also just like on the video end of things. I think he's made a lot of really, really memorable stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
Thanks
That was
you guys
so
for
that
your
was so
answers.
efficient.
Yep.
Okay, now who is your
really
least
good.
favorite cardist of all time?
Oh, 100%.
What's the shittiest move?
Yeah, what's the worst movie you've ever seen?
That is like a
we
crazy
have
high bar to
questions.
hit, actually. Like, worst movie you've ever seen. Like,
Yeah, it takes a lot to differentiate
I've seen
from the
some.
rest.
I've seen some pretty bad cardistry. A lot of it from myself.
Yeah. I feel like everyone would have a unique answer to that, though. Like it just something
Yeah.
just strikes their cardistry sensibilities wrong.
Yeah.
I tried to make stuff like that with like all the Hindi shuffle variants back in the day, but
You
Hindi Shuffle
performed them
goes,
too
goes
well.
crazy though.
Yeah.
ironically, it became quite popular. We have questions from the public, but before that, I wanted to ask you guys a couple of questions that I wrote down.
Cool.
So, I wanted to know what's the wildest place or situation that cardistry is taking you to? Because Kyle, you did mention earlier how like
Interesting.
you guys were in Tokyo and you had like all your high school friends there, which was a pretty crazy moment. Are there any other like
Yes.
situations or like instances where you're just like, how did I get here? And like, why is it because of the deck of cards?
I think one of the ones that comes to mind was for one of the Fontaine projects. We did like the Black Hollow trailer in that Star Wars hotel. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called like the Galactic Star Cruiser. It's in Orlando. It is like booked as a cruise, so it was a 2 night stay, and like all of the people were in character. Like you would interact with them, and they would be like, "Hey Kyle, ready for your mission today?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, sure." And like we like filmed the video in there, and like it is this wildly expensive thing, and there are just like a bunch of extremely well-off people just watching us like in the corner like grind moves, just like we're in there just like I don't know trying to hit clips. But
Jar Jar
no,
Binks
that-
in the corner.
yeah,
Misa Jar Jar Binks.
I'd say that's probably one of the weirder ones.
That's nuts.
Nice.
That was the Black. Which video was that for?
The
Black
Black
Hollow.
Hollow trailer,
Black Hollow.
and it was just in like this crazy, I don't know, Star Wars hotel, which has since closed down, which is wild.
I heard.
Correlation again.
Too many people filming moves in there.
Ruined the vibe.
They're not buying enough.
They're not even in costume.
Holy sweats.
I would
Brad, how
say
about
for
you?
me,
Like,
yeah, there's nowhere that stands out as like specifically crazy, like on its own, but just the fact I do remember having the feeling when we were in Hong Kong, just like out on the street of Hong Kong with a bunch of the guys, just like how did I get here? Like why am I in the middle of Hong Kong right now? This is insane. And then when we did actually right before while we were filming Showbiz, actually we did a little side trip to Vegas with Stern, and that was also a moment where we were just like chilling in a casino in Vegas, like just hanging out, and it was like super surreal, and I could not have predicted that that's like where cardistry would have ended up.
yeah.
That is
Yeah, so
100% a great
It's places
answer,
like
but
that is the weirdest ones for me.
Great answers.
That's great.
Being in a casino with Stern, as he does bits for his deck trailers, where he puts on a chef costume and he puts on a mic and he's going around to people in the buffet going, "Do you like the food?" I'm like, dude, what am I doing here? It's just like
Yeah.
shooting this.
Yeah, that was a trip.
What is my life?
Yeah, that was a trip.
Being with Stern anywhere when it's cardistry themed is just the craziest energy. Like when he was conceptualizing the intro video for Tokyo, just like the things he'd come up and say to us, he'd be like, "Okay." Like my head, I'm putting the video into an AI generator. I'm gonna be meditating, then I'm gonna become a helicopter, and I'm gonna fly away, and then my head helicopter is gonna fly to each location of previous cardistry cons, and then I'm gonna come back. And I'm like, of course,
Yeah.
yes,
Do it.
Stern,
Yes.
go forth,
Yes, yes,
Brilliant.
chef. Yes.
yes, chef.
My next question is, which moves of yours do you remember having the biggest reactions at a con screening?
I mean, it's
Rob?
probably Showbiz has been the biggest reactions for me.
Yeah, even more so than the spring thing from Tycoon.
Oh yeah, true. That's probably the biggest single move reaction for sure. Yeah.
I'm gonna say Showbiz, just Broadway, which is that big zigzag raise, rise,
Yeah.
move. That was really fun. And I just think that con had such a great energy. The acoustics in that room were awesome. And there were just so many people
Yeah.
there. So
Nice,
it's really fun.
nice. My last question from myself is, what do you think is the most satisfying feeling in cardistry? Like, is it opening the cellophane on a new deck, or landing the perfect aerial, or like having one of your heroes ask you to teach them your move? Like, because that happened with me. Like, one time Dan Buck was like watching me do one of my moves, and he asked me if I could teach it to him, and like he used elements of that in prequel.
Whoa.
Twisty McVeigh.
Twisty McVeigh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
That
Kevin,
was
you're the
a
goat.
moment.
I would say this is a weird one, but when when you're like trying to explain to a layperson that you do cardistry without saying cardistry, and they go, "Oh, so you do cardistry?" And you have that moment of like, I don't have to like prove this to you.
I don't have
That's
to
always fun.
debase myself.
Yeah,
a
underrated
good
feeling. They immediately get it.
That's
They know
another
you're
good
cool.
feeling.
For me, I would say being able to collaborate with people that I have admired for a while. Because, like, there's a difference between filming them at a cardistry con and being like, hey, can I film a move? They do a move, and then I'll be like, awesome, that was so cool, I love your work, and then, we get out of there. But I think it is really cool to work with people that I just, like, was watching starting out in cardistry, but then sitting down and actually having like a collaborative conversation with them on like what we want to shape this video to be. There's input from my side, there's input from the other person's side. I think that's like a really satisfying moment for me. Just like successful collaboration.
I definitely
that.
felt that a lot when I was working with Noel for Gosh.
Incredible.
Really, really cool.
So now we're gonna move on to the questions from the general public. I've whittled it down just to a few so that you guys don't get like overwhelmed by 24 questions in a row.
You guys got fan. You guys got a lot of fans.
Yeah. So here are the,
One
top
particularly
7
that I
questions.
slam into my bicep.
And then you can make this face. Ah!
Really hurts to do this
Alrighty.
voice slam. Yeah, go ahead.
So I think this one's probably targeted towards Sprat more so than Kyle. But the question is, will I seriously never be one of the best because I don't do magic? I am so sad right now.
Kyle and I were talking about this a few weeks ago. Yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah, you went
The answer is
crazy in that
yes.
podcast, Sprat.
The answer is yes. Here's the best analogy.
Tell them.
If you already can do cardistry, you're like 95% of the way there. Like
You hear that?
you basically need to learn 2 moves and then you're done. Like, you're done. The analogy that we came up with was this. Imagine you meet someone and they're like, oh, let me show you something. And they pull out like a guitar or like a ukulele and they start like spinning it around on their finger and like balancing it on their head. And you're like, damn, that's crazy. That's sick. Do you play the guitar? And they're like, no, I hate playing the guitar. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you're just spinning it? And it's like, yeah, no, one day I'll spin it so good that people will forget it's even an instrument. They'll be like, oh, these were made for spinning. Like, it sounds so stupid.
Oh my god.
Just learn a few songs so that you can do your crazy spins and then play them a song and be done with it. Like, and if they don't want to see music, that's fine. That's how I feel about magic. And like I said in the other podcast I did where I talked about this, like, you don't have to go out and perform for people every day. You don't have to like learn 100 tricks. You don't have to like buy a suit and a appearing cane and like a rabbit and all these things. Just like have a trick to do so that if someone comes up to you and is like, oh, they like see you doing cardistry and they say, oh, like, can you show me a trick? You have something. Because otherwise it just looks like when you say, oh, no, I don't actually do tricks, I just do this fancy shuffling, it comes across as very like I know it feels like a purist thing of being like, no, I'm above magic, I'm doing this stuff. But I think for a lot of people, it comes across as kind of like not rude, but like it doesn't make sense for people, and like you really have to
Yeah,
explain your way out of that situation, and the interaction will be better as if you just like do a trick. I think for most cases,
just
and
learn
also
that trick. Just learn that one trick.
yeah,
I break weight.
and also like you gain a lot of cardistry knowledge and cardistry ability by doing magic and thinking about cards in a different way.
Totally. Sleights
Yeah,
feel
like
are
if
so
Kyle,
fun. Sleights are so fun.
So that's also fun.
like if Kyle hadn't learned Raise Rise, he wouldn't have come up with Broadway probably, or at least not
Right?
be able to do that
So
hand
Hundred
true.
technique that
percent,
way.
So true.
100%.
I also want a supercut of Sprat doing the podcast tour, telling all these cardists that they suck because they had two back-to-back podcasts. I love it.
Yeah.
I also want to
That
add
would
one thing to
kill it.
Sprat's thing. With if someone walks up to you and asks if you do a magic trick, like the general, I don't know, maybe the general reaction I've gotten is like that of disappointment. It's like, oh, I was really like
Yes.
hoping to see a magic trick. And if you say, but I actually do cardistry, like you are starting at the bottom of a hill now. Like you are trying to work your way up to impressing them and meeting the expectations that they had for you when they thought that you were going to do a magic trick. And I think that that is not like necessarily directly damaging us as a community, but I do think that there is a lot of benefit to going, yes, I can do a magic trick. That was awesome. Let me show you something else that's awesome that is not necessarily magic, but your spirits are high.
Yeah.
Totally.
Really good
Totally.
point.
I have a really good example of this. So
Yeah.
Noel, like when he was with anyone, was pretty like firm. Like I do cardistry. I'm not really doing magic right now, and didn't really like performing magic. He would rather perform his cardistry. Pure like great artistry, and I fully respect it. But there were moments where like just the situation we were with, and there was like some language barriers because we were in Japan, that the host just wanted to see a magic trick, and he's like, "Okay, I'll do it." And all he would do is he'd just do like either a classic force, or just like force a card, show them, do a double lift, show them the card, and then like find and then put it in the deck, and then find it again, do like another double lift, and be like, "Is this your card?" And they'll be like, "No," and they'd be like, "Okay, well, like, okay, hold this in your hand," and then he'd be like, "Wait, what was your card?" And it'd be like Ace of Spades, and then it'll just like change it to their card, and they would lose their mind. So you just basically
Yeah.
do a double lift twice, and that was all he needed to do, and that would get better reactions than like the craziest cardistry moves Noel could do
Yeah.
for anyone. So just learn Biddle Trick, everyone. It's so easy.
I saw Noel do Biddle Trick in London for some people.
Yeah, Biddle Trick goes
Yeah.
crazy.
Fiddle trick
Biddle,
goes hard.
Biddle boys.
Biddle me this. So the next question is your creative process hand thinking or head thinking? And this harkens back to Dimitri's theory of like, head thinking versus hand thinking that he published in Hold My Brain, I'm Shuffling back in like 2017, 2018.
Yeah. I guess I'll go first. I mean, for me, I do a bit of both. Like, the there's kind of two. I very rarely use both on the same move. It's usually one or the other, is what I'd say. Like some moves are way more conceptual, and so I'll like have the idea first and then make the whole move from that. Whereas other times I'll just like come up with something organically, like based on a mistake or what feels right, and then
As
that'll
in,
turn into a packet cut or something.
yeah, as an example, during your I forget what it was called, the 1 month 1 hand back in 2019.
Yeah.
What was your like process during that period when it comes to head thinking versus hand thinking? Was it a mix of those, or was it primarily
I
both
would
of them?
say I would say for those, I mean that was a long time ago, so I don't exactly remember like 100%, but from memory, almost all of those were hand thinking and variations of existing moves. So that's a like great way of making a lot of stuff quickly, especially for one-handed cuts. I would find another one-handed cut that I liked, learn it, and then being like, how could I add a packet to this in a way? How could I, like, what happens if I do it with one of the packets sideways? What happens if I, like, use the opener for this and then do something else? And I'm not allowed to use the normal way of finishing this one-handed cut. So yeah, most of those were kind of just like putting twists on existing things, which was mostly hand thinking stuff. Yeah.
Cool. And Kyle, are you more of a head thinker or a hand thinker?
I'd say it also is like a healthy mix of both. I do my best to make my openers as like easy and practical to do for me. So that is like comes from a lot of hand thinking, just like what feels good for me. But usually when it comes to like the center of a move, that's when it'll get into a little more head thinking. Like I'll just like look at the position that I'm in and I'm just like, what is the coolest thing that I could potentially do from this spot? Try a couple things. Most of them don't work out. Sometimes they do. But usually it is like a healthy mix of both. I don't remember the last time that I like fully conceptualized a move in my head and like it was exactly that when I performed it. So
Yeah. Very cool. Next question. How does your experience/process differ between doing a solo video independently versus for a brand? So, Sprat?
Interesting question. I mean, for me, it doesn't change that much. The main difference is with a brand, I don't have to worry about a lot of the non-cardistry stuff because they usually have that planned out ahead of time. So like when I did the videos, when I did the video with Noel and Jack, and when I did the video with anyone, the like locations and things were kind of already planned ahead of time, or at least the people filming had like a rough idea. So you really get to focus more on the cards and the moves, and you just have to make sure that you're like respecting that person's time. When you're making a video by yourself or with like when we did Showbiz, it was kind of like this as well. Like we both had a lot of like creative freedom to just kind of like make whatever choices we wanted. We didn't have to worry about it being like a promotional thing. So you do get a lot more freedom to play around and experiment with like weird ideas, if that's something you want to do.
Thank you.
there was something
And
that we were
Kyle?
also recently talking about when it comes to like the structure of solo videos versus brand videos. There is like a pretty like I don't know, generic structure for like a brand video with like, you know, you're pulling the deck box out of your pocket, like you're opening it up, you're slowly revealing the back design.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe it's shiny or something like that, and then you dive into the moves, and at the end, like you put it back in the box, and you're like, boom, that's the product. With solo videos, there is none of that, and I think that is awesome.
Yeah.
One thing that I will add to Sprat's point too is it is nice when it comes to making a video with a brand because you have like a rough idea of what the vibe is supposed to be like, what the video is supposed to feel like. Each brand has its own identity, but when it comes to solo videos, you are completely like free to make whatever decisions that you want, and sometimes that can be a little paralyzing because you can have like this huge grand idea in your head, but then you're like, okay, how am I going to find the location to do this? How am I going to get someone to sit with me for 14 hours and film my moves? Like there are a lot more questions that come up when you have that freedom. So I would say that there are pros and cons to making videos independently versus with a brand.
Great
Yeah,
answers.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you, Kyle.
I will add on to what Kyle said about like the different structures of like a branded video or like a promotional video and like a regular cardistry solo video. And it's really funny because occasionally you'll see someone who's new to the cardistry scene put out their first video, and all of their favorite videos are like deck reveal trailers, or they're like from a brand that's producing cards, and they just think or assume that like this is what you have to do, this is the structure. So they'll do their video with like bikes or tallies, and it'll open with that slow reveal of the bicycle back design because they're like, oh, this is how you reveal, this is how you start a cardistry video, is you like do this build up, and then it's just like, yeah, we've seen these cards before. What are you doing?
Yeah, deck openers is like a kind of a lost art in and of itself. I think you both kind of worked within the realms of deck openers before, but
We need more box
The one
moves.
Carter did. I like the one Carter did where he just kicked it into the air.
God, has
And it just lands and explodes.
yeah, that's a good one.
Next question. What do you miss from the early cardistry era that is not present anymore today? And I guess that era is relative, so I guess it is your early cardistry era when you started versus where we are at currently.
Tiny chat.
Brett?
Mm,
Tiny chat?
yeah, that's a
I
great
miss
answer.
Tiny chat. I think Discord is great for calls. I don't think it captures the same magic of being able to pop in there and just like witness some of the craziest shit you've ever seen.
Yeah, and not knowing who it was, and then they just leave, and you're like, what just happened?
Yeah. I love that lasted a couple generations of cardistry. Because we had MeBeam and Tiny Chat, and then I haven't really been. I've
Tiny chat.
poked around the Discord, but yeah, good
Yeah,
answer.
that's good. I want to say I miss the era of like low effort posts where like people would just post like crappy webcam videos or like just like takes of their phone where they like fumble the end of the move, but they're just like, it's good enough. I'll just like post it. Like get the
Totally.
idea. This like idea of like not making everything perfect. I feel like it's not a specifically cardistry thing. I think the internet nowadays just like you only see like perfection, so everyone just assumes that is like the standard for cardistry.
Yeah.
There is something quite, I think, beautiful about seeing someone incredibly skillful that's also making mistakes, but like the skill is still present in the move. Like for example, when Darren released, Darren was known as perfection. Like all like everything was perfect at all times in his videos, and then he released not Common White, the one that came after that. Let the Fun Begin, I think, or something, with some Linkin Park pumping in the back. And there's like sections where he's just dropping cards and stuff, but the moves are so rapid fire that it looks so steezy when he's messing up these moves. So yeah, it's like weaponized stylistic errors.
Yeah.
Not taking yourself too seriously.
Yes.
If you suck though and you're messing up, then it just looks bad. But
Yeah.
so there's levels to this, but yeah.
Yeah,
So-
there was a video that Shiv posted on the story the other day as part of the combo callouts that Brandon started recently, where he did like a perfect combo, and at the end he did a TG deck flip, and the one card just flew away.
breaks my soul.
I did that on my braids post as well when I posted that move on Instagram.
It's always that one goddamn card.
But we agree in the first podcast, Sprat, that deck flip not practical
Yeah.
in a weird freakish way. Against all like it should be the most practical move of all time. I was trying to teach my friend it the other day, and I kept messing up. It made me look so bad because I was talking about like, yeah, this is my life. This is what
I've been doing this for 10 years and I
I've been
still
doing this
can't
for
keep the one card.
I've been doing this for 20 years, and then it's just like.
It's like always that question that lingers in the back of your head. Like,
Yeah.
I just hit the best performance. Do I deck flip and potentially look like a fool?
Totally. I think
Yes,
Tobias
you
did
always
some
go
blood
for it.
sacrifice or something, so he gets the perfect deck flip every time. Like there's
You gotta look into that.
right.
What about you guys? I'm curious to hear like what you guys miss because like we kind of came up in different eras.
I miss the homies.
I miss the forums. The forums were wild. People
The
had
toxicity.
no regard for each other.
Forums are awesome.
So toxic.
Yeah, MeBeam was
I mean,
great.
Dan and Dave was really nice. Dan and Dave forum's really nice, but some other places you get some wild characters. Would
Totally.
not let up. They were mean.
They
So
were mean. I think I miss. Yeah, I think I just miss having the. I still have many of my friends that I made when I was younger. They're still in my life in some way, but many of them are not active anymore in cardistry. So I think I miss that sense of like really being part of this like new community, new generation. So I think that's just like me being old. So everybody that's part of the community right now, and you're new, and you have great friends and communities and jams and all the time, cherish those moments because they will be core memories when you're older.
66% of the CCC 2009 video are retired.
Bro,
Spencer and Luca.
Dang.
yeah,
Wow.
they're still kicking around, but they just don't shuffle anymore.
On the low. On the low.
On the low.
Next question. There's 3 left. Next question. If you guys could only showcase 3 moves from your repertoire to sum up your style, which ones would they be?
Yeesh. The 3-packet arm roll cut that I have, I would put in there.
That's a good one.
I'd say Broadway, even though I probably can't do it in person, which goes against everything we've been talking about today.
Really? There's a video on YouTube saying like Kyle is as good as in person as he is in real life.
Yeah, I
Like,
saw a video doing
That made me
And it showed
laugh
you
so hard. I was like,
Because you're doing Broadway in the Showbiz and in like a live recording.
There is a clip of you doing it for someone in
As is, isn't it?
was it? Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's what it
I
was.
remember seeing that. I was like, oh, snap. Kyle's crazy.
So just pulling the curtain back entirely on that move, I can't do the opener. The opener is a setup, like it. The raise rise and the card push are like so
Yeah.
wildly unpredictable.
It doesn't make sense.
So I will need to like set it up. But once it's set up, I can do the move. But the fact that I can't do the opener into the move kind of sucks.
That kind of sucks.
Gotta find a new opener.
Sucks.
But we forgive you.
I do.
Are you raise rising a
true.
card into the other packet that's then pushing out another card?
So I'm raise rising a card into this front packet, and then this front packet is like doing an index push into the back one. So it's like simultaneously going like,
Whoa.
Crazy.
and then one more move, the spring cut.
And we all know
leaking-
what it looks like now, too, basically, because of the way you described it.
Yes.
That's right. Kyle leaks his unreleased moves to lay people, but doesn't want to show you.
Yeah. Bro, just show me the spring cut, please. Sprat.
For me, I would say the like it's stupid name, but the Destiny drop, so I'm calling it, where you like drop the card and it like comes down, is something I'm like excited about and is like consistent enough to show people in person. And then either braids or out of frame. And then probably the riffle shuffle cut would be the other one to show people.
Does that one have a name?
My 3. That is the name.
Riffle Shuffle Cut.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You got the spring cut, you got the riffle shuffle cut.
Yeah.
What's next?
Banta bicep cut.
Riffle Shuffle, Spring Cut, Pressure Fan Cut, Incoming,
Pressure fan cut would be sick.
Under pressure cut.
Under Pressure Cut.
Ooh.
I kind of... Ooh. What
Does
else?
that exist?
Pirouette cut.
Pirouette Cut. I mean, those were
Pat
kind of big.
kinda
Those are
has
big
that.
back
I thought,
in the
yeah, I
back in
thought
the
Patrick
day.
had a pirouette cut somewhere.
From the Cartilago.
Yes,
That's
that
right.
one was cool. Very, yeah.
Really good.
This podcast always turns into a Pat Glaze sesh at some point
Yeah,
because he's so good.
Pat has a yo cut. Just
That's
He's
true.
got a
remind
yo-
people of that.
He's got a yo
That shit's
cut.
crazy.
That shit's crazy. Lapal spread cut, maybe.
Okay.
Isn't the yo cut called like stank face or something?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Not anymore? What's
it called
It's
now?
called the yo cut now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Officially renamed.
These are the AI descriptions of your moves. AI summary.
What
Using
else?
Apple Intelligence. Second last question. This person says, would love to hear thoughts on moving cardistry away from screens and into real life.
Yes,
Yes.
please.
I beg of you, do it.
Do it.
Hurry up
Whoever
as
asked
well.
that, please.
Yeah, super important.
Yeah, I think being able to do stuff in person is so cool. I also think that there's a big kind of, I don't know, maybe opportunity for like an art gallery style viewing of a collection of material.
For sure.
I think it would be so cool to assemble moves, just like, I don't know, what you would do for a traditional solo video, but have it on the walls, just like one move, just like over and over and over and over again, right next to it.
Looping.
It's another move, and
Yeah.
you just have people walk through it.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing I took out of CardistryCon in Japan, like that was the sentiment was like cardistry is so much cooler and more fun when it's like a group of people doing it. So if you're asking how to do that, find people near you and like organize jams. Something I have realized after talking to the guys in Singapore when I went over there for a mega jam was that like everyone wants there to be a jam. Like everyone wants to hang out and like meet up with cardists, but no one wants to organize it. And what usually happens is your group has like a dedicated like jam organizer person, and then if they either are no longer like able to do that, or they lose interest in cardistry and move on to something else, or if they're just busy, no one else usually steps up to organize the jams, and then they just kind of stop happening. So you really got to be on top of that, and like if you are the organizer, make it like clear that there is like a backup person that you can message and be like, "Hey, I can't organize the jam. I'm passing the torch on to you to keep the momentum going and have like the regular meetups."
Last question from the general public is, what's a classic move that you want to see more people doing?
Man, I have so many. I've been thinking about this a lot.
Yeah.
As like
Yeah.
the underrated, like this should be on everyone's list kind of thing. Recently, I've been really interested in open Pharaoh, actually. I feel like that's a move that I never see anyone do.
Ooh.
Oh, by
And
Huron?
like I feel like
Yeah.
like layman would I haven't shown it to any layman. I've only just started like practicing it. But like it's such a crazy visual to be able to show people. Yeah, nice.
Real
It's like
heads now.
bloom minus the farrowing part, or anti-farrowing part, whichever which way you do it.
Yeah. Well, it's bloom with a utility. It's like bloom with a purpose. It's like this is a way to shuffle the cards without having to like make any noise. Yeah, it's just a really weird move that that no one ever does. I'm like, why not? I also think that no one does
Pharaoh cut.
fan toss. Burger's fan toss has kind of like vanished from the public space because everyone overdid it.
Sorry, still that explanation is so funny. It's a
Wait, which
shuffling
one?
button. The open pharaoh making it's great. It was like a pharaoh, but like makes no noise because it's like
Real G's move in silence. Like
Yeah.
or if like you're doing it, but yeah, damn, my open pharaoh's kind of loud. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying
Yes, fan toss as well.
Yeah, fan toss.
Burger's fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like everyone did it when it first came out, and there were like 2 years where everyone just did fan toss, and then everyone would just decided that it suddenly sucked, and so like they didn't want to do it anymore. But it's still really good and still crazy. It's like especially for lay people. You got any of those, Kyle?
How about you? What needs to come back?
I think one-handed shuffle is just such a cool move. I love seeing people do a good one-handed shuffle, especially when they turn the hand upside down to make it like look like a bridge. I think that registers in people's minds really well.
Yep.
I also think that more people should be doing Cobra Cut because that rocks.
Yes. Yeah.
So true.
Upward cut with the knuckle
Yeah,
pop.
you were one of the OG new guys keeping Cobra Cut alive, Kyle. I remember. You were busting that thing out.
I can't credit that. That's all Carter.
Was it Carter?
Was 100%.
You guys,
Yeah.
you guys did it in Inked in Blood, right?
Yes. That was the synced Cobra cut.
It's hot.
Cool. So those are all the questions that we have for today. Are there any other like subjects, topics that you guys would like to bring up or mention that we haven't covered already? Just while you're here.
Showbiz 2. When?
Question for us as well.
Yeah, we don't know. We've talked about it many times. Like, I'm of the opinion that like sequels are really, really, really hard to make for anything because you have people have such high expectations. So like, I don't think there'll ever be an official Showbiz 2. But we might do another video together at some point when we have the material. But right now, I'm not in the space of like creating fast enough to have a full video ready to go.
Please take your time.
And
Yeah.
here's like a funny add-on to that too, with like the Showbiz 2 discussion, is like both Sam and I were reflecting back on our material that we were making for Showbiz, and like our creative philosophies have completely changed since then. Like I would never be making the material that I made for Showbiz now. So to call it a sequel, like I don't know if that's something that needs to happen or if it's just like an entirely new collaboration. I don't know.
Yeah. What would be interesting, I think, which might be more fun, would be like almost like a double feature where it's like we both make a
Yes.
video and then just like put them back to back as like a single thing, and have them be like maybe like have some overlap in the middle or something. So it's like not Showbiz 2, but it's like the same kind of collaborative vibe.
The hype would be through the roof.
It'd be a lot of fun.
My next
Yes.
thing that I want to like try and do is do an uncut video. I feel like no one really does uncuts anymore, and that's like the last big, the last peak to reach in terms of like video production.
How long are we talking? Ideally.
No longer than like 2 minutes, like maybe like a minute 30.
That's a significant
Somewhere.
amount of time.
Yeah.
Nowhere near Magical Trevor's 45-minute uncuts.
That's my god.
My goat right there.
And if you don't spread the cards at the end, Sprat, and if it's not in New Deck order and you're doing this, it doesn't count.
Yes, that would be required as well.
You got to do the spread.
Got it. Yeah.
Got it.
You should
So,
spread the cards midway through to show it not in New Deck order, and then you continue the uncut, and then it ends in New Deck order.
That's sick.
We've
You just play the whole
crazy ideas this video.
start in New Deck order, play the whole video in reverse, and then you can do that.
Yeah.
There was one other thing that I wanted to add on to. So when we did the first recording of this with just me and Kevin and Brendan, one of the questions that someone asked was like, how do you make it in the community? Like, what are your tips on getting like noticed? And I gave some like kind of half-assed answer because I was like, this question is like doesn't make any sense to me. But I thought about it a lot, and I want to like discuss it a little bit if you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
Because I think it's kind of interesting and like something that I've been thinking about a lot. So the question initially was like, how do you make it in the cardistry community? And that question doesn't mean the same thing to everyone. Because the question might be like, how do you get popular, or like, how do you get famous? How do you get a bunch of followers? And it's like, okay, well then that has nothing to do with cardistry. That's all like marketing stuff. And if you're trying to get famous by doing cardistry, you're probably looking in the wrong field, because like the most famous you'll get is like 5,000 followers, and then it kind of caps there.
Yeah.
And then the other way of looking at it is like, how do I get everyone to think my moves are good? Like, how do I get everyone to notice what I'm doing? And the answer to that is just you make really good material, and then you submit it to things where it'll get noticed. So you enter contests and, you know, show up to jams and show people and do all these things. But what I think the question actually is getting at for most people is, how do you get to the point where you're able to like hang out with all the cool kids? Like, how do you get into the top, the alpha pack the circle. And like the realization that I came to after thinking about it was like, you kind of can't, like you never do. Like me and Kyle are great friends with like Noel and Oliver and Tobias and all these people that are like at the top, but we're not like in their group. Like those guys all go away to like have their own thing, and we're like we're kind of included in that, but we're not necessarily always going to be there. We're not always going to be on the group call with like all the Danish guys, as much as we might like to be. And then for kids like getting into it now, like we were saying before, Kyle and I and our friend group might be that for them. So they might look at us and be like, how do we get in the Discord call with all of you guys and like jam with all of you guys? And you're welcome to do that, but it's kind of not the point. And what I think is super important is to make friends with people at your skill level so that you can build each other up and be the next group for the next generation of cardists. Because that's what happens. That's what kind of happened with us. So yeah, it's really about just like making connections with other cardists and like going to jams and making friends and like reaching out to people, and like collaborating, like me and Kyle did, and like a lot of our friends did, and yeah, like forming those connections.
Totally. That's a great.
That's how you make it.
Yeah, thanks for circling back on that and putting so much thought into it. Yeah, I think to kind of add on to what you just said, I think people sometimes forget as well that cardistry and friendship, like, we're not necessarily friends because you're really good at cardistry or something. Or maybe that's how you start the friendship, but friendships, they're more complex than that. So
Yes.
any of these like inner sanctum meetings or Illuminati cardistry meetings that are happening, it's not just like all sitting around like in silence doing cardistry moves. For the most part, a lot of these hangouts, no cardistry is done for the most part.
Yes.
So I think that's just something to also remember too. Like friendship is the basis of everything. So
Yes.
Cool. Is there anything that you guys want to plug before you go? Like, where can we find you on socials? Do you have any new projects coming out that we should be aware of?
Socials. I mean, Instagram, Kyle.tr. That's me. And I got no new projects coming out, but I would just love to encourage everyone to, yeah, Spring Cut coming up 2027.
It needs another like 3 years in the oven, and then it'll be done.
It does. It does. I'm like I need to get that last 10, 15% on the performance side.
A little more head
I would
juice.
100%. I would 100% echo Sprat's sentiment of just enjoy like the people that you shuffle cards with.
Yeah.
You know, if you spend like all of your time trying to impress a certain set of people, it will be miserable for you. It never will have the returns that you think it will. You know, solo videos, there are ones that stick in our minds like for years on end. But there are also solo videos, like including my own, that just kind of drop and then are lost with the wind. I don't think that you need to, place don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Don't expect returns on releasing like all of this material. It's not going to happen overnight. I personally, huge shout out to Sprat. I don't think that I would be where I am in cardistry without him. We have jammed till like 5 a.m. when we were first starting out, and I think that was awesome. But I do feel very lucky to be friends. So,
Oh, thank you. I feel the same way. It's very kind.
Sprat, where can people find you?
At Sprat Cards on Instagram.
hell yeah.
Great.
Thanks, fellas. That was good chatting.
thank you guys. Those are great questions.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you everyone for watching. Please leave us a comment telling us what you thought about the episode. Any feedback for me, Brendan, Sprat, Kyle, and go follow them. Go follow them on socials, like they just mentioned. And we will see you guys next month for another episode of Cardistry Lore and more. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.